Hi, everyone. I'm Steve Stoller.
And I'm Shauna Haley, and this is Inside Plano, where we take you behind the scenes of our city.
We'll introduce you to the faces and places who help make this a great place to live.
And give us lots of reasons to love Plano. Happy February, Steve Stoller. It's good to see you.
Same to you, Shauna Haley. How are you?
I'm doing well. I am not navigating the ups and downs of winter in Texas very well. It feels like it's ice cold pellets one day and then 71 degrees the next. It's messing with
Yeah,
my
well,
allergies.
it enhances that old saying about Texas weather.
What
What is
is
it?
the old saying?
Give it a minute and it'll change.
Exactly.
One day it feels like spring, the next day feels like winter.
Yeah, and some days you're lucky and it happens all in the same day, but
Well, let's get into it because
yeah,
we've got so much going on this month. So, why don't we start by talking about something that's very important to so many people in our community, and that's the rollout of the vaccination clinics.
absolutely. Happy news for the city of Plano and everybody who is in phase 1A and 1B waiting patiently to get their shot.
That's right. And it's up and running. Everything's gone fairly smoothly. You're always going to have a few little uh, cricks, so to speak, in the beginning, but things are running very smoothly. And we just want to emphasize with our vaccination clinic that it is by appointment only. So if you don't have an appointment and you show up, you're going to get turned away. And it's really the people who are going to get their shots are on the wait list from Collin County. So they're going strictly in order by that list.
Absolutely. And we do have our special guest this month. We'll be talking about vaccines in depth. And um, I know we'll say this over and over, but it bears repeating. Things are changing very quickly. So, this is the February 2021 podcast of Inside Plano, and our special guest is presenting information that is uh, accurate as of the publishing of the podcast. And so, just know that as new information comes, we share it out with you. So, it is information that is accurate as of February. But more on vaccines in a minute. Really, speaking of things that are underway, in some ways, although we're still under COVID restrictions and having to be careful, it feels like the city is waking up from a long nap and you're starting to see things happening again. Wouldn't you agree, Steve? It feels like it's busy again.
It does. I mean, we're still in the pandemic. That hasn't changed, but we still have a lot of events going on for our residents. And of course, most of them are virtual, but
Mhm.
we'll go over some of those things that are still happening in the city that a lot of people can take advantage of. Some are educational, and a lot of them are just pure fun.
Absolutely. And let me start off by telling you about one really fun online, totally free event that I think people will love. A popular event here in Plano is the daddy daughter, grandpa daughter, or granddaughter dance, where I think it's now called Daddy's Little Sweetheart Dance. Well,
Mhm.
obviously, we can't get folks together to have a dance, but we can get together and dance online. So there is a family dance party that's going to happen online. We have a professional children's DJ that's going to lead everybody through a really fun night. That is February 13th. And so many thanks to Plano Arts and Events for making that happen. I've got all of the information in the show notes. Please join us. That's going to be a fun time. So just because you can't go out and party doesn't mean you can't party at your own house with your family members and have a fun time celebrating Valentine's Day.
Sean, our public library system never ceases to amaze me. I mean, they always have so many events for people of all ages. They have one coming up for the very young kiddos, and that starts Friday, February 5th. The Plano Public Library is hosting a live preschool story time via Zoom on Fridays. You have to register, and we'll have details in the show notes.
Yeah, and they also have I think a STEAM class. Those are
Mhm.
also available online. And the next one is super fun. And I actually think it's kind of relevant for the times we've been living in. Now, COVID is a virus, but it's always interesting to learn how the natural world operates. So viruses and bacteria, super interesting for kids, even though we might think they're kind of icky as grown-ups. So what is that STEAM class all about, Steve?
Well, they're gonna grow their own bacteria. So the week leading up to Monday, February 15th, people can come by at one of the 5 library locations and they can pick up their supplies, including a petri dish. So the video will follow along with the project, and that's going to air at February 15th at 3 p.m. on YouTube.
So kiddos who are interested in growing things, that's a great class. Or if you're looking for supplemental STEAM education, so to supplement the work your kids are doing and learning about biology and science, that's a great class.
Yeah.
Now, Steve, you and I both know, I think we've talked about it before, the Oak Point Recreation Center outdoor pool. We mentioned last year that it was closing because it was going to go through a renovation project. Plano Parks and Rec has just revealed all of the details about the new pool that's coming, and it's a result of a lot of feedback from the community. They've worked a lot of the new features in, and it's way cool. Don't
Really exciting project, Shauna. Really cool features too. I can't wait for you to explain some of the features at the pool.
Yeah, so this pool is it's accessible. I mean, there's just no other way to describe it. If no matter who you are in Plano, you can enjoy this pool. So I actually wrote down the list because I didn't want to forget any of the things that they're doing. So there is a dual entry wave pool, and so it's completely accessible compliant. There's a family pool, seating area, cabanas, the wave pool, the tower structure, totally accessible. And that wave pool has zero depth on both ends, so easy to get in and out of. The family pool has a zero depth ramp, which means wheelchairs can go in the pool. And the elevated tower, you can take an ADA compliant ramp to get to the top. And beneath those towers, also there's additional pad play areas that are fully accessible. So we're super excited. We love all of the folks who call Plano home, and it's just a real pleasure to know that the new pool is really going to be one that everyone can enjoy. And kudos to Plano Parks and Recreation for having such an exciting project underway.
$10
Now,
million project, and it was approved by the voters back in
um,
2017. And the completion date, if all goes as scheduled, should be Memorial Day of this year, next year.
next year, I was going to say, wow, that is the
Memorial Day of
fastest.
next year.
This is 2020 has bled into 2021, and as far as we're concerned, maybe 2022, right?
I sent out a press release the other day, and I forgot to change it to 2021.
Oh, no, that's so funny. Well, I do have a little bit of news. Our acrobat programs, our gymnastics program
Mhm.
through Plano Parks and Recreation is well known, beloved, and for folks who have been involved in the aerobats program over the years, you might want to know that the longtime coach for aerobats, Carlos Perez, is retiring in February. He has been the head coach for the aerobats for 30 years. Started in 1992, trained lots and lots of young athletes here in Plano, and of course was also a decorated gymnast from his home country of Guatemala. So thank you, Coach Perez. You're going to be missed, and we know the Aerobats are better for having had you as head coach all of these years.
And also, Parks and Recreation fans, we want you to keep February 27th in mind. That's when registration will open for classes beginning March 15th. We'll have an online catalog available on February 15th. Highlights outdoor recreation include night hikes, guided nature preserve tours, online adaptive rec classes, and adult sports, plus a variety of in person and online classes for adults and kids of all ages. And you can access the pages at the Parks and Recreation catalog site.
Well, you may be wondering, one of our popular programs through the years at the animal shelter has been nickel neutering. I mean, we want to quote the beloved Bob Barker, please spay and neuter your pets. It helps control the pet population. And Plano likes to help you out with that. So nickel neutering, it is back this year. Means you can get your male cat neutered for just 5 cents. That'll be Tuesday, February 23rd. It's an all-day event. You do have to make an appointment. You can't just show up with the male cat hoping to get him neutered. There are 100 spots available that day. So you'll just need to give them a call, get them scheduled. All of the restrictions are on the website in terms of the process for dropping animals off at the animal shelter just for COVID concerns. So if you haven't taken the time to get your male cat neutered, trust me, I've had male cats over the year. My male cats were much better housemates after they were neutered than they were before having surgery. So let us help you out. Do that for just a nickel. Steve, did you want to mention the Valentine's Day special at the animal shelter? I'm happy to do that too because I love my little gray
Sure,
bee.
sure. I'm so overwhelmed at the nickel neutering. I was just speechless. So, Shauna,
Exactly.
you and many other people can bring a little love into their homes with a new dog or cat. I have dogs, you have cats and a dog.
And a dog.
So, we want to talk about the Plano Animal Shelter's Valentine's Day adoption special. It's from February 1st to the 14th. Any dog or cat that's over 6 months old is just $40, and any dog or cat over 6 years old is just $25. If you spot a sweet new pet under 6 months old, it's the normal $80 adoption fee because the adoption special does not include puppies or kittens or any exotics like birds.
Well, that is a great special. And since we do record in video now, and I'm an obnoxious new dog owner. I mean, of course, I love my pet, my male cats, but I'm going to show for those who are on the video. You can see our sweet little Glory Bee. All of our neighbors know her because she loves all of them. Not that she gets out and runs around, but we take her on walks and runs. So a lot of people in Plano have met Glory Bee.
What a great picture. She
Yeah.
smiled for the camera.
She did. That's because she's a happy girl. She was a rescue, so we definitely believe in adopting, not shopping. Let me tell you really quickly before we go on to our special guest today about some seminars that you can take through Live Green in Plano. So just a couple. Recycling is something that people ask me about quite a bit. What can we recycle? What can't we recycle? What do we need to do? Live Green in Plano is always a great resource for that. They have all kinds of seminars, webinars, classes, resources online. So, two seminars that they're doing in February. They're doing a community conversation that's an opportunity to discuss the latest in recycling. And we've had folks on from our trash and recycling crew to talk about some of the challenges that the recycling market faces. So that's a great opportunity to join that conversation. That's a community conversation. Or if you're really just interested in learning more about how recycling works in general, what does it look like when things go to the landfill or when they go to the municipal recycling facility, you might want to participate in the Recycling 102 webinar. Then, one other class that I found to be very helpful, I've taken it, I've recommended that other people take it. It's called the Utility Bill Clinic. If you live in a rental unit, you may have your water bill, as part of your rent. Once you become a homeowner, or depending on the rental that you're in, you may receive your own water bill. And it can be really hard as a first time homeowner to understand what's happening on this bill. How is the meter read? How does that translate to cost? What are some things that you can do to reduce your cost? So the utility bill seminar, they walk you through reading your bill, understanding what you're looking at. It really is helpful because there is a lot that's in your own control over the charges that you experience with water use, just how you choose to water your lawn, etc. And it gives you a little more, instead of wondering why is my water bill so high, you now understand how to read what you're being billed for and why. So that's a good one. And we'll put all the information on how to sign up for those classes in the show notes.
So today, Shauna, we're going to do something a little bit different for our behind the scenes segment. At the end of January, Deputy City Manager Greg Russian, who also our former police chief, gave an update on the COVID vaccine rollout at the Plano neighborhood leadership meeting. We thought it was a very interesting discussion, so we decided to share that presentation here with you. Now, one thing we want to note, keep in mind that the vaccine rollout is a very fast changing effort, and the information Greg shares in his presentation is accurate as of January 29th, 2021.
We have Deputy City Manager Greg Russian, who's going to provide us a COVID-19 update. So you are up, Deputy City Manager Russian.
Well, thank you very much. And first of all, welcome everyone. I recognize many of you out there, and it's great to see everyone. And like she had said, I was going to, first of all, give you an update, but it was going to include kind of a look at where we are with COVID and particularly the vaccines. I think everybody kind of wants to hear about that. That's probably what you hear more talk about and more interest in. Keep in mind, though, what I talk about today, it's going to be a snapshot in time. And what I mean by that is, that we're constantly learning through this terrible pandemic that we've had. We've never seen anything like this before that changes our lives and our world. And as we learn, we adjust. So the information, advice, and stats that we see are always changing. So I'm just going to tell you what we know at this instant. As I gathered this yesterday, I'll even qualify it that much. First of all, here you see some stats that you'll typically see, overall stats in Texas, and of course the impact of that on our hospital system. You might note that if you've looked in the last week, you know that these numbers are much better, much improved, because we see our big increases in spikes during holidays, weddings, special events, things such as that, when people get out and let their guard down. You can get a lot more statistics, though, more specific, online, CDC, at the Department of State Health Services, Collin County, and of course our own great Plano website, COVID website. I'll talk about at the end, that Shauna Haley and her folks put together. I don't think you're going to have any more questions after you look at those. Would you please change the slide for me? It's always good to have someone changing the slides for you if you're not that good at technology. So thank you for that. First of all, our real hope is to getting back to our new normal is going to be through vaccines. And there are two that have been approved thus far, and they're what we call emergency use authorizations, or EUAs. And this is not full authorization. This is built into the law when you have an emergency such as this, that you can authorize those after the minimal yet mandatory testing when they feel they're safe for the public, but yet they're out there to provide a good to the world, actually, in this case. There's two that have been approved so far. There's many more that we think will be approved in the future. We have Pfizer and Moderna, and I kind of put them side by side to see the comparisons to the two. There is a bit of difference. First of all, these vaccines are not made for children. 16 and older is for Pfizer, and Moderna is 18 and older. And you notice that the storage is different. Pfizer is much more difficult to store, and it can, the life of it depends upon that storage and the proper unfreezing of that, mixing of that, and providing that as a shot in the arm. But it uses an ultra cold storage, like 70 or 80 below zero, which you can't get from a traditional freezer. You have to buy a specific freezer for that. And I think the government's got a hold of most of those. Collin County does have one, though, so they can use the Pfizer vaccine. The Moderna, on the other hand, has to maintain frozen, but it can be done in a conventional freezer. So it is much more forgiving for that. Both of these have 2 shots in the arm, and that makes it more difficult, because when you think about it and you see those numbers come out, we got maybe 1 million doses. That's only enough for 500,000 people. So you have to really cut that in half when you consider both doses. The Pfizer, you get a second shot in 21 days, and of course the Moderna in 28 days. That doesn't have to be exactly in those days, 21 or 28 days. It can be a few days either way. And if you have to get it even later than that, it still says that it's effective and it will still work just the same. Now the efficacy, you notice efficacy, not efficiency. Let me tell you about that, because whenever you do a study, you can't put people in the study that may have very serious effects and may die from the study itself, such as people that are maybe on cancer treatment, people that are pregnant, So efficacy refers to the study group and the results they got from the study group. You put it into the public, you may have a bit different because you have a different group that you're putting that into. But the efficacy for the group that they tested in for Pfizer was 95% efficacy, and Moderna was 94.1% efficacy. Now, when you look at that and you say, well, 5% potentially, if they have the same result in the general population they would have in the group, may get this. But they say if you get it, it will not be something that will kill you or be as serious as it would be otherwise. It'll reduce the symptoms for the virus should you get it if you do have the full regimen of these vaccines. Let's go to the next slide, if you would. These are some of the side effects that you can expect. These are common side effects that you can expect whenever you do have a vaccination. Everyone's immune system is a bit different. Some are going to have more of these, some are going to have none of these. It just depends on the person. I myself, I've had the vaccination, and of course I had most of those for the first shot and only one of those injection site for the second. So it just depends on the individuals. But we have people that take the vaccine and they don't realize this, and they believe that this is some adverse reaction they have to report, and it's something that's out of the ordinary. It's really just your immune system ramping up to try to fight the virus, teaching itself how to do that. There's also viruses such as the flu. You know, we get flu shots every year, and every year they have to do a different mix because there's mutations and variants to that flu. And it's the same thing with this. There are also, as you heard, variants emerging. We've got the South African, Nigerian, Brazilian. It seems like there's many, many out there. And they said at this point, they believe that this will make this spread more quickly. So I've heard studies up to 72% more quickly, but they're not really certain on any worse adverse outcomes because of those. The only one they're really looking at now, as I understand, is the South African strain or the South African variant. Next slide, please. When they started talking about and thinking about distribution, the federal government, they started with pharmacies, hospitals, and doctors' offices, as you see here, the private providers. But they recognized they needed a more robust distribution, so they went to hubs or super centers. They took sports facilities, professional, college, and even high school that you can park a lot of cars and put a lot of people through, and they what we call hubs or super centers. They're still developing those names as we go along, but you're going to hear them in the news called hubs or super centers. That just means they have the ability to usually give at least 1,000 vaccinations per day or more. The state of Texas has an expert panel that decides on distribution, and they're advised by the governor. The federal government also has the same that advises the president. So this is how we decide on who's going to get the shots first. Now, the states do have some ability to make some decisions for their states because every state's a bit different. But the federal government gives that overarching guidance that all the states have to abide by. Next slide, please. Right now we're in phase 1. And what phase 1 is 1A and 1B. It's divided into 2 different parts. 1A comes first, and now they've added 1B. And 1A, as you can imagine, is the tip of the spear. It's the people that are out there every day working with COVID. People in hospitals, long-term care, EMS, and police officers, healthcare, outpatient, ERs, urgent care, pharmacies, last responders, meaning those that deal with those who are deceased with the remains and doing the funerals, school nurses. And then 1B is really broken down into 2 categories, as you see. First of all, people 65 and older. Nationally, that's 75 and older, but in Texas, they've reduced that to 65 and older. And then the second group is 16 and older. Now, keep in mind, 16 and older, that means they have to get the Pfizer, 18 and older from the Moderna, with a chronic medical condition. And they've defined somewhat those medical conditions, specifically cancer, chronic kidney disease, COPD. You can read the list yourself there. So those are the only people right now that should be getting vaccines under the Texas rules and the federal rules. Next slide, please. You're going to hear a lot about the wait lists. And we have a Collin County wait list. We're all in Collin County, but this is a different type of system we have for distribution. It isn't up to your local government strictly to give you the vaccines or to offer those to you. It's more of a system with a lot of different choices. You can go to other counties, you can go to your county, you can go to private distribution providers. So it is a bit different. But our Collin County wait list is a cooperative relationship between 29 cities. As you see, 4 ISDs. That includes Plano ISD and Collin College. And you get online, you can put your name on the wait list, and it goes in the order that they'll receive. So number one's number one, number two's number two, and that does not change. And then those that are using that wait list, not everyone uses it. Some use their own. Some have had theirs in place, like Alan, before this wait list was created. So they were in a very difficult situation. They've already promised their citizens or the people that are on the list in the county that they'll provide them vaccines in the order they called in. So it's very difficult to find out what you're going to do if you're going to go off the Collin County wait list. So there are different wait lists, but there are a number that go on to the county, use the Collin County wait list. Once again, this is for residents who are 1A and 1B only. And I want to mention too, when you go to get your vaccinations, you're going to get an appointment. You don't see many around that say, okay, we're open up for business, everybody come, because that would not be something that they could maintain any sense of order. So please don't show up at places because you hear they're providing vaccinations. But get on those wait lists, call in, talk to those folks, and then follow their directions and show up when you're supposed to show up, if you would. Most counties have wait lists. I might mention too that I'm talking about Collin County, that Denton County has a wait list as well, since we do have about 6,000 to 8,000 people on the far west side of town that are actually in Denton County. They can, of course, put in for both wait lists. You're not restricted just by county. Turn to the next page, please. In Collin County, right now, we have 4 county vaccination hub sites. I'll talk about them first. The city of McKinney, of course, is at their football stadium. City of Allen at their football stadium. Baylor Scott and White, which is at their facility in Frisco, and Collin County, which we started on Monday at John Clark Stadium in our city. Next page, please. Now, Allen and Baylor do not use the Collin County wait list. I mentioned how Allen already had a list, and it was a very difficult decision for them how to do that. They're sticking with their list, and I believe that Baylor right now is providing that to their own patients who are most at risk. There are different schemes out there providing them, so really you have to reach out to those individual locations that are providing those to see how they're doing that. You can see here some information how to get a hold of Allen and how to get a hold of Baylor Scott and White on their vaccine opportunities as well. Next slide. Let's talk about Clark Stadium though, our first site in Plano. This is it says a public-private partnership. Actually, it's Collin County, PISD, and a city partnership. Collin County is running it. They've hired Curative, a company, to run that for them. It's at a PISD stadium. And of course, we're providing the police and fire necessary to help with that, the traffic direction. Today is going to be its 3rd day in operation. And as you can probably guess, when you have something that starts anew, you're going to have issues. And we've been trying to work those issues out, providing information back to the county and then to Curative to make sure that we cure those issues. And I've heard that yesterday was much better than the first day. We hope today will be better than either day, and we'll continue on along that way as we work through that. Still a process in progress. Next slide, please. Should be second possible Plano vaccination site. There you go. We have oh, keep going. There you go. We are working though, as I say, things change. As I was doing this in the last couple of days, I was putting this together, slides, because I usually just talk without slides, but I know in this environment today that slides would probably help everyone. We had another person come online, another organization. This is the local healthcare provider. We're not going to say a lot. You'll hear an announcement probably later today. They're working on a second site in Plano. It's going to be in partnership with our city, using a portion of our Plano Senior Center. You might have heard about this at the city council meeting the other day. They mentioned this. The details will be forthcoming, and of course, it'll open very soon. So look for an announcement on that today or tomorrow. Next slide, please. I put together a list of all the vaccination hub sites, if you're interested in getting vaccination, that you can contact. Now, this is probably not all inclusive, but as best I can do in short notice. And you can go to our website and get some information, which I'll talk about in just a minute. But in Collin County, you see the ones that we have: Dallas County, Denton County, Tarrant County. We have had citizens actually go to East Texas and get on their list as well. I've heard one or two people do that. So my wife, for example, is a RN, and she ended up going out to Arlington to get hers. So a lot of times you'll think that you're going to get your vaccines in your city and it's going to be provided by the city or the county that you live in. In this case, it's not like that. You have a lot more choices. They're trying to get them out as quickly as possible. And this is the system that we have at this time. Anybody want to take a snapshot of that, they can with their cameras for later on if you wish. Next slide, please. You know, I might add too, and of course, we know that the vaccine supplies are very inadequate for the distribution network that we have. We haven't had a chance for that vaccine supply to catch up with the vast distribution network we've provided already. So we hope that will happen soon. And we do see that there are going to be more doses released next week and the week after as well. So we're very optimistic about those coming out. You all have probably heard Operation Warp Speed from our prior president, President Trump. 20 million doses in December was the goal. Of course, we didn't quite get that. We got a fraction of that. And now President Biden is talking about 100 million doses in the first 100 days. Keep in mind that 100 million doses would be currently 50 million people would be served by that. If you did get the Johnson & Johnson, the one shot approved, which they're looking at hopefully getting authorization sometime in February, that would be really a deal changer, I think. It'd be one shot rather than having to do two. But you can see what's been allotted so far to Texas. You can see that about 3.8, 3.9 million doses have been allotted. About 3 million have been shipped. The rest are in progress of being shipped. The total doses given are about 1.8 million. First-time vaccination is 1.5, and fully vaccinated is only 297,000. You're going to see that last number go up, and as we move forward, I think. But we're still early into this whole big operation that I think President Biden talked about as being nothing bigger since wartime, that we've had something like this, trying to get a vaccine out to the entire country. Next slide, please. And I know people are going to have a lot of questions. And early on, Shauna Haley, who's on here with our communications department, her and her people went out and just did an incredible job putting together a website and a call center. I wanted to mention that to you because we know that citizens have questions. And the best way to learn that is go to a place where you can get all the answers you want about anything and everything, from grants to COVID to you name it. And she could tell you much more about it than I could. But you can go on that thing and spend a half an hour just going through the different things, the different types of information that we do have. But if you can't do it online, you still have a question. Next slide, please. We have a call center. And they will talk to you online and provide anything, explain anything to you don't understand that you read. Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. It's a phone and live chat. And with that, I'll go ahead and close out. I just want to make sure we direct everybody to those information sites that we have. And every time we get a question we haven't heard, we note that and we put an answer to it for our folks that are answering these questions for our citizens. I can tell you that we're on top of the COVID issue. We have meetings 3 times a week. We started 5 times a week every morning. The first thing we do as a management team, we talk about COVID. We see where we are with the vaccinations, with information we're providing to the community, with everything else that comes COVID-wise, we're talking about each and every day. I'm spending probably 80% of my time full-time on COVID issues. So we care, we're out there, we're working for you. If you got any questions, let us know. Any way we can help you. Thank you very much.
Some very interesting and important information about the vaccine process in Plano. Once again, that was our Deputy City Manager, Greg Russian. Now, like we said, Shauna, vaccine information changes very quickly. So we started a new email newsletter that brings people the latest updates.
Yeah, that newsletter already has more than 22,000 subscribers, which is fantastic. The same information, though, we publish on social media. It's just nice to get it directly to your email inbox, and that you know that it's completely focused on what's happening with the vaccine rollout here in Plano and Collin County. And then you also work with my team on that newsletter production, and we pull relevant news articles that kind of give you context to what's happening here in Plano, Collin County, and the state as well, I believe.
Right. And it's really easy to sign up. To subscribe, all you have to do is go online to plano.gov/vaccine.
Yeah, and just to let folks know, that website in general, that specific page is very helpful. We have links to sign up to the various wait lists that are out there that are moderately close to our area. You can find the Texas Department of State Health Services. We call them DISHs. You can find the DISHs provider map of all providers that have vaccine doses allocated. That doesn't mean they necessarily have any available, but they have received them. You can look all of that up. So plano.gov/vaccine.
And we share the same information on our social media channels as well.
Absolutely. So pretty much anywhere you can find Plano, Texas on social, in your inbox, on the web, you're going to find this information, because we want to make sure that you're up to date. As we have information, we pass it on to you. And we're also there to answer questions if you have them as they come forward. Well, with that, I suppose that does it for this episode of Inside Plano. It's very exciting to already be in the second month of 2021 and seeing a vaccine come to our area, and knowing that we're slowly but surely chipping through the list of people who are wanting to receive the vaccine, because it is our hope that if you want to receive the vaccine, that you will be able to receive the vaccine. And Steve and I will be excited to join the wait list. I think actually you are on the wait list. I'm not eligible yet. So we're looking forward to the day that you also can be on the wait list.
Yes, I'm actually number 60,138. And, that was a crazy number when I signed up. I thought, oh, it's going to take forever. But that wait list has grown up. Grown so much. I think right now it's around 200,000 and growing fast.
Wow.
So that 60,000 slots looking better and better every day.
Exactly. And as more vaccines are received, we'll see that number, get to the top of the line before you know it. Well, folks, if you have ideas for future shows, you want us to go in and behind the scenes and give you more information, we're happy to do that. Send your suggestions, your thoughts, and your feedback to us at askplano@plano.gov. And while you're listening to this episode, we'd very much appreciate it if you give us a review on your favorite podcasting platform. Believe it or not, that actually helps new listeners find our show, because the algorithm works in our favor. So we look forward to being with you in March. Stay safe, stay healthy, wash those hands, and wear a mask if you can't social distance. We will get through COVID-19 together, and hopefully before too terribly long.
Great. Bye, everybody. Thank you for joining us.
Bye.
And that's it for our Inside Plano. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did doing it.
If you have any comments or suggestions, send them to us at askplano@plano.gov. Bye.
Talk to you next month. The Inside Plano podcast is brought to you by the City of Plano.